All right. And shalom, shalom. Can everybody hear me? All right. And shalom, shalom. Can everybody hear me? Sure. I got a little echo. All right, cool. I had to get this mic stuff situated. So, hey, shalom, y'all. I'd like to welcome everyone to King James Bible University. I am your host this evening, Elder Martin, and yep, I'm riding solo. So definitely appreciate each and every one of y'all for joining with us today. Got some feedback? Hold on, let me make sure I get it right, Elder. Hold on 1 second. All right. How we coming in now? Y'all still hearing the echo, or how we sounding? Just want to make sure we good before we get going. All right, we good to go. All right. Appreciate y'all. Hey, y'all know, these computers. Hey, but we good to go. So, like I said, I definitely appreciate each and every one of you all for joining with us this evening. And you know how we normally do on Thursdays is either the round table, or Elder Carlos or myself is actually just doing, a teaching that we may have been working on. So today, as Elder normally say, it's my spot. So before we get started though, we definitely had to do a little announcement. So I just want to always make this clear. We here at King James Bible University and the House of the Lost Sheep and the House of JEHOVAH are not in any way affiliated with any Black Hebrew Israelite Christian organization, any you could say Roman Catholicism Christian organization, any Black Power movement. This include Muslim groups, Moors, any of those, any African groups. Now this ain't something that we join to. We here at King James Bible University, we stand alone, and the only thing we do is hold to the 1611 King James Bible. And hey, this is the entire Bible, from the first, the bridge, and the second. So all of these basically encompasses the entire instructions from JEHOVAH that we need to get back to the kingdom. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and get going. So today I'll be actually bringing forth a teaching that I'm really hoping that it'll help to further shift our mindset, even more so seeing the inner workings of when we think about confusion of Babylon, on how we can only do this is if we walk through that door of Christ. This the only way we can shift the mindset from it. This, and what that'll do is actually get us to so get away from this physical reliance on the things of this world and to fully commit to the word of God. And all of this was actually just take this true commitment. That when I say true commitment, I mean me and my wife, we did a thing Elder wanted us to do where she fall backwards and I catch her. So I let her fall a couple of times. I ain't let her get hurt, but I let her fall a couple of times. But that's the same type of trust and commitment we got to have to JEHOVAH. We got to be willing to fall backwards and fall in his arms. And once we do this, that's actually showing trust and being committed to that voice only. So, and and that actually will help us to not just see that side, the side of this world that we know is an illusion. We all have to escape this illusion. And that's basically what, I want to bring out. So, you see the title is basically what is the illusion of confusion, but the name of the thing is the illusion of confusion. But the question is, what is the illusion of confusion? It's basically a world, or you could say this world system of conditioning, where you can look at it two ways when you think of conditioning. You can look at a conditioning for those that walk with JEHOVAH to go through this testing ground, this proving ground to help us. But there's also a world of conditioning where, we have been conditioned a certain way. Is this illusion of confusion? It's basically a mental construct. It's a place of judgments where, that's how it operates. It's a place where they put race, all of that is basically in this confusion. You got politics, you got upper class, you got lower class. It's more so just a fog of beliefs that Israel must go through. That this is the way that we have to burn off this dross, and also it's a way for us to warn others of this righteous judgment that is to come. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. This a teaching that I've been kind of leery of bringing it out, but when my big brother he ran what he ran last week, it was like, okay, so that more so just showed me that, hey, I think I can run this teaching now. So I definitely appreciate him for it, because he got me an opportunity to see things that, I'm gonna be honest, I thought maybe I was crazy, but so it just one that I did want to bring out. So I know a lot of people were waiting on the album, but I kind of felt pressed to push this one. So we're gonna go ahead and get going off in this one. So, and we're gonna jump right off in the scriptures to kind of show what we need. So let me get the Bibles jumping. All right. So we're gonna start right off in Exodus. We'll hit Exodus right quick. We're gonna pull Exodus, and we'll do 13, and we'll do 12 first. I might well pull the other one right along with it. Then I'm gonna pull Numbers. All right, we're gonna hit Numbers 18 and 15, 18, and then we'll do 15. All right, we're gonna start at Exodus 13:12. It says, hold on, I might. Okay, all right. Exodus 13:12. It said, "Thou shalt set apart unto the Spirit of God all that openeth the matrix," right? "And the firstling that cometh beast which thou hast, the males shall be the Spirit of God." So it's actually saying a lot. It's actually just showing that, all Israel ain't Israel. Is basically saying it clearly when you see this. And those that truly are Israel, when they open this matrix, begin the journey, this is the way to get back to the Father. Now we're going to pull over here in Numbers. Hold on 1 second, y'all. I think my Bible ain't moving. Let me try to get this right. Y'all hold tight. Y'all hold tight. I can't get my Bibles to move. Y'all hold on 1 second. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. Hey, hopefully y'all wrote that down, but we'll go back through it. Sorry about that, y'all. All right, so we're going to read Exodus 13:12. Again, it say, "Thou shalt set apart unto the Spirit of God all that openeth the matrix, and every firstling that cometh of beasts which thou hast, the male shall be the Spirit of God." Now we're going to hit Numbers 18:15. It say, "Everything that openeth," I want you to pay attention. It say, "Everything that openeth the matrix in all flesh, which they bring unto the Spirit of God, whether it be of men or beasts, shall be done. Nevertheless, the firstborn of man shall thou surely redeem, and the firstling of unclean beasts shall thou redeem." So, and that actually saying a whole lot also, because what is actually letting you know that, you'll have a lot as we going, back in the matrix. We'll just put it like that want to learn about JEHOVAH and actually follow him. Those will have an opportunity, but you can see where it's saying, but nevertheless, the firstborn of man shall thou surely redeem. So those of Israel, he's letting you know they will surely be redeemed. So it's just letting you know that he's a righteous God, and others, can actually get to learn about JEHOVAH as we moving through this matrix, right? So with that, this lesson here should get, basically we'll just say, gonna help in removing a blindfold, and you can actually get to see what reality looks like, and to see, what I'm talking about. I basically wrote something out that I want y'all to think on. It's an example, but I want you to actually pay attention to this example, because it's gonna say a lot, right? And it's actually, just imagine yourself having a male or female, having a rough week at work and other things in life, just compiling on to that. So you decide to take your family to dinner. Then you take them to a movie theater. And then after some time, you become locked in at this movie theater with this new movie that's sitting on the screen, right? After a while, you don't basically became emotionally consumed in the characters and the storyline that's on the screen. But now, suddenly, those same actors you're looking at on the screen, they interrupt this moment that you in, and now they turn toward the audience and say to you, "Hey, we just actors on this screen. This movie is actually not real, and your life is not what you think it is. This movie will never cure your life problems that you having." I know a lot of that probably will have you, feeling a certain way. This kind of interruption, because it's a getaway for you, a mental getaway. But that interruption will actually bring, a lot of interruption, or a lot of irritation. And, you'll probably be shocked, but you have to ask yourself, why is this? Why would you, feel irritated or shocked? And it's a good answer for that, because it actually disrupts the feelings of escaping, your own experience you've been living in your own life. You actually went out with your family to escape these world problems that we all go through, whether it be bills, co-workers, family, or just life itself. But, right, if this, just imagine if you magnify this even more, it become clearer why a lot of us will, respond defensive. And so there are many in this world, right, whose views of life show that they, their everyday roles and pursuits of life are part of the construct of this world, meaning, everything they do is based off, achievements and things of this world. So we have to understand that we, are living in I'm gonna just say a fictitious world. And this basically shows that, a lot of us that do these things, like take families to movies, dinners, amusement parks, and other places, are actually just trying to escape a world that we see as reality. When, in reality, we actually become the ones on this world screen. We the actors and the characters themselves in this fictional movie role. This life we live, we actually, we actors. So the main thing with that, how do we escape this reality? So we're gonna pull something. We're gonna go to John. I got another one of my Bibles. So we'll pull John. See if I can work this one. Let me see. John. You look up. All right, we're gonna do John, and the question is, how do we escape it, right? So we're gonna do John 11, and we're gonna pull 11. John 11 and 11. All right. It say, these things said he, and after that he said unto them, our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of his sleep. And this is actually what we need. This is having that truth come to you. We need that truth to awaken us out of this deep sleep. And that's that's the dilemma that, we in. It's the dilemma of truth actually finding you, and then you taking that initiative to open that matrix, being awakened from this deep sleep. That that deep sleep, like I said, is reality in our eyes, and it feels good to the flesh, but it's actually a hindrance to those that are trying to get to the kingdom. So I'm going to pull something in Genesis. We're going to pull Genesis chapter 28. And let's hit 16. And you can see the transition right here. It says, and Jacob awake out of his sleep, and he said, surely the Spirit of God is in this place, and I knew it not. So once you are truly once you truly awaken from the illusions of this world to what we know is a spiritual reality, then your life actually changes drastically. We'll just put it like that. This is something that once you see it, you can't unsee it, from that point forward. So, and that you could see once Jacob woke out of that sleep, he knew, hey, something different is actually here. So then, once someone, actually begins to awake to this truth, or like I said, we can call it it's spiritual reality. We have this urge, or we'll just say the desire to basically share with everybody. You might feel like you just got to go just grab hold of anybody and say, hey, look, man, I just found truth. And you might just say, matter of fact, it found me. But we do know that can become a challenge also, being awakened to JEHOVAH. It ain't you could just say it ain't a concept that can be easily communicated or just explained to your friends or family. It's actually a lived reality, so we have to live it. Trying to tell them, yeah, that's one thing, but you have to live it, and that's basically what we must do. It's like telling somebody the difference between, we'll just say, reading about swimming and actually being in the water, swimming itself. So what I want to do today is, get you to see the inner workings of this system. You know what I mean? And matter of fact, we can look at some examples on how to escape from this system. And we got some real good examples from, others that, they was able to, because like I say, it's a mindset shift. And this is the thing that we must do. So I want to pull some in Genesis. Where we at? Genesis. And let me just scroll it. We'll pull Genesis chapter 3. And let's pull 4. Hold up. Genesis chapter 3, and then we'll do verse 4. It say, and the serpent, right, said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. So we see all of this is basically within that matrix. And so, you're going to have these serpents. But you could look at those as like prison guards, right? They prison guards of this world. And they're going to make many feel like it's nothing better that can be offered than, what this prison system has to offer. And that's what actually goes on, but we know we'll have some that'll be awakened to it, but they still would rather kind of hold to that side to try to get the benefits of it. So I want to show you something right quick. Let's go to 2 Kings. And we'll pull chapter 5. And let's jump. We'll do 20. And we're going to take it down to 27. I'm going to just read through it, and then I'll explain. It say, but Gehazi, the servant of Elijah, the man of God, said, behold, remember, my master hath spared Naaman, this Syrian, and not receiving at his hand that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, right? Now he's supposed to be woke, but we'll just keep reading. I will run after him and take somewhat of him. So Gehazi followed after Naaman, and when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him and said, is all well? And he said, all is well. And here go the lie. My master hath sent me, saying, I'm going to take it to 27. Remember, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments. And Naaman said, be content, take 2 talents. And he urged them, and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 change of garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand and bestowed them in the house. And he let the men go, and they departed. But he went in and stood before his master, his teacher. And Elijah said unto him, whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, thy servant went no whither. And he said unto him, went not my heart with thee when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money? And this is basically a big part of being in this matrix. When it's time to receive money and to receive garments and olive yards and vineyards and sheep and oxen and men servant and maid servant, the leprosy for that reason of Naaman shall cleave unto thee and unto all thy seed forever. And he went out from the present a leper as snow. So by actually, understanding this construct of this world, you can see that the system actually have, you can say, agents. We'll kind of take a little bit of words from the Matrix movie. The system has planet agents. And as you looking at Gehazi, he's more of a planet agent. Or you could say within Israel, you're going to have this mixed multitude. So you can look at those as planet agents, and their job is to pull many who has awakened back in the matrix. These can be, they can be your family members, camps, Christians, and any other group or resources. All of these things are used to pull you back into a world of a false reality, right? But we're going to go to Proverbs. You say Proverbs, and we'll put 13, and let's hit 7. It say, there is that maketh himself rich, yet have nothing. And then there is that maketh himself poor, yet you have great riches. So when you being awakened, to this matrix, right? Once you actually opening it, it means that we shouldn't be falling to none of the riches of this world. It don't matter if it's their knowledge or anything. All of the things of this world is, like I say, it's the illusion to pull you back to something that, you once escaped. And that, like I said, that's also include their paper money. That paper money, because that's a big part of it. That, it'll actually take you from what your true purpose is once you actually get to see what the truth actually is. So, and then being awakened, right, to what truth is, you become a threat. You become a real big threat to this world because you start to see stuff clearly. And you had to say, why, seeing stuff clearly can, make you a threat. But then that answer, you can really find the answer in the fact that when you really think about it, every social structure, every political thing, every economic, every religious system, all of these depends on this collection of agreements. It's like all of this stuff is agreed upon to accept these certain fictions as reality. And, I've been speaking on money, so you just can take that for example. We all know it's just merely just a piece of paper. Or you could say, I guess, a lot of people using a debit. It could be, it's merely paper or digital numbers. But the system, what the system does, it injects a value to it. But those that have started to understand the inner workings of it, they recognize this as just a game. Like I said, it's a construct. And having, once you start to have this awareness, it diminishes, this seriousness on how others see stuff. So when you actually, start to see through all of these, I'm gonna say illusions. When you start to see through these illusions, what it does, it disrupts this status quo that goes on. It disrupts religious doctrine. It disrupts any type of, we'll just say, ideological beliefs that are all based on this collection of hallucinations, illusions, delusions. So once you actually are awakened, now you start to recognize life beyond all of these, which, like I said, can be a threat to those who actually built their, they built their identities around this type of stuff in this world system. So it's a quote that, I know my wife, she asked me to even put that, it's a quote that I had wrote down. It says, easier to fool a people than it is to convince them that they have been fooled. And that's a true saying. But I want to show you something though on this. I got a little quick water analogy, right? Even speaking on that, it's easier to fool the people than it is to convince them. when you think about this water analogy, you can look at it like this closed off system, and then you can look at it versus like an open vessel. So you can actually just consider like this self-made man, or you can just call him a self-made man. He basically don't pull everything off on his own. He normally tell the other folk, now y'all need to pull your own self up by your bootstrap. You look at him, he actually a closed system. He already filled to the brim, with his own ways. It ain't no space for nothing to basically be able to enter in him. He ain't got enough room for JEHOVAH to dwell in him if you ask him. But then you look on the other side, you might have this damaged person. He got cracks in him. And then through these cracks, we know light can enter in. So if you think of like this seal, we'll just say like a seal vase or a seal container or something, and it got water in it. If it's sealed up perfect, yeah, we know water can't enter in. But if it's a crack in it, then even the smallest opening, water can find itself in there. And this is how JEHOVAH actually works. He can't enter in where there's no opening. And the damaged vessel, right, he got cracks. So he got openings so JEHOVAH can work. So I want to pull something in 1 Corinthians. We'll go to 3. And let's hit 18. 1 Corinthians 3:18. It say, let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise. So we have to understand that, that the wisdom of this world is actually foolishness with God. It's an illusion. It's vain. It actually don't have any value. True value actually comes, to the person that actually opens that matrix. And, it's more like, just say for instance, if you go to a store to get some food because your family, they actually hungry. And then, the food, we'll just say the food might total up to $50. You have to ask yourself, does the paper money hold a value, or the food that you receive hold a value? And I'm always say it's the food, because you just want to provide for the basic needs that's necessary for your family. So you'll be even more happy you're just getting the food free. So it's this system that have put value on money, and that's basically something that we have to shake. Every thought, every way that people, how this system have stuff set up, we have to escape that. And, our life depends on it. So I want to go to Matthew. And we're going to pull 10. And we'll jump over to 39. Matthew 10 and 39. It say, he that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. So when we actually can walk away from a life, right, of what we thought was true, and then follow Christ, that's actually when life actually happens. So you're giving that life for a life. And this is how we supposed to start to see stuff. And then, we also know, being awakened, to this truth, it can also bring like this feeling of, feeling helpless, or, sometimes it can bring loneliness to those that actually, you have family that reject it. So, and then a lot of people, in this world, they reluctant to question the rules of this world. They would rather live in a, this certain comfort zone rather than to question, what's being presented to them on both sides. They don't want to actually, question the game of life. They just enjoy playing in it. They don't want to take off this mask. We'll just put it like that. They don't want to take off this mask of this world because they just enjoy wearing it. They would rather, avoid these uncomfortable truths. They would rather stay in this world with the world truth that they, they feel like the world truth don't need any examination. They don't care about, the kings, the leaders of this world, that all of these are sinful men. None of that don't matter to them. And then because we was all in it, and then you can always just think, what a lot of us fear is actually the discomfort of, confront these truths. And all it'll do is just destroy our basically put together false reality. Because one thing we'll know is that these false illusions, well, basically, it ain't going to do nothing, but you're going to have to wake up. You're going to have to wake up from your sleep once you actually start to question stuff. And a lot of us just enjoy resting in this stuff, like the nice houses, the beautiful cars, bank accounts. We ask, what more do with what more do they need? This is how we actually think. So I want to pull something in Psalms. Let me go to this one. We'll go to Psalms. Yeah. We'll hit Psalms chapter 96. And we'll pull verse 5. Psalms 96, verse 5, it says, "For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Spirit of God made the heavens." So when you're looking at these nice houses and beautiful cars, bank accounts, all of these things, they're nothing but idols. These are things we worship. And that's basically the crazy part about it. We have to actually truly see what's going on. It's this world's construct. Like you say, we rely on at what it does. It rely on these type of individuals, the ones that like all of these things. They take the games of this world serious. They function pretty smooth in these constructs. And this world construct, to be honest with, it depends on them. It depends on them, playing their roles, being able to, we'll just say, pursue this worldly success. Have them in fear that, they'll become failures. It keep them afraid of, like I say, questioning the game or the rules of it. But a lot of us that know truth now, that has awakened to it from this construct, we should be able to recognize this game for what it is. And now, like I said earlier, that's when we become threats to this system, the structure of this false reality. And the crazy part about it, you actually are a threat to it if you're actually walking with JEHOVAH, because it's almost like the very presence of one of us who actually escaped the prison of this world. What it can do, it can remind others of their own spiritual shackles, right? Which, most times it can bring on resentment or hostility from these so-called friends, family. But it's almost like it's compared to, we'll just say, like someone that escaped from Alcatraz. And they used to say nobody couldn't escape from that, but it's compared like that. Somebody that a prisoner that escaped from Alcatraz, but now he decides to return and visit the other prisoners, and to tell them about a different world. And that's what our task should be. So let's look at something right quick. We're gonna look at these worlds, and then we're gonna kind of start to dig off in it. We're gonna go to second address. Second address. And we'll pull 7. And we'll just do 6 through 10. 6 through 10. Alright. Second address, chapter 7, verse 6 to 10. It say, there's also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in dangerous places to fall, like as if there were a fire. So these desires on the right hand, and on the left deep water, all these different knowledges, and one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. Right? If this city now were given into a man for an inheritance, and I and I said, it is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, even so also is Israel's portion. So if we, right, can make it through this world construct, because we still have to go through it, it's a proving ground, a testing ground for us to burn off it actually shows if we still, want to dabble in it. If we, because you got the fire on one side and you got the deep water on the other, and all you got to do is just turn to the side and peek, and that's when it gets us. So, but if we make it through this, I always remember it's a city with a new government that awaits us, but we have to go through here. We have to, right? I want to show you something right quick, because I want to pull it now, so when we look at it later, it's actually going to be explaining a lot to us. We're going to go to Revelations right quick. We'll pull Revelation chapter 7, and we'll pull 4. And say, and I heard a number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So we see this number, this 144,000, and that's per generation. They were sealed. So just keep that one in, so you can remember that one. So, but we see, like I say, this number that's sealed. This is it been sealed from the beginning. These are those that will actually live out this forever. That's eternal life in this spiritual realm that a lot of people won't even get a chance to even taste it. But one thing we have to understand, we all got an opportunity and a responsibility of those who have opened that matrix, and walk behind this veil to see this new spiritual reality. And we got a lot of, like I said earlier, we got a lot of examples to draw from, on this. So I want to pull something right quick in Isaiah. We'll go Isaiah 42. And let's pull 6 and 7. Isaiah 42, 6 and 7. It say, I, the Spirit of God, have called thee in righteousness, and will hold thy hand, and will keep thee, and give thee for a covenant of the people, for a light of the Gentiles. So we've been a light of the Gentiles, the ones that actually do contrary to JEHOVAH. Verse 7, to open the blind eyes. And this is what we have to do, to bring out the prisoners from the prison. And that's why we have to go back to the prison. Even though we escaped from Alcatraz, we have to go back. And them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. So this is showing that we got a responsibility to others to actually be able to share this reality. And what those actually are, they just warnings. We give them warning. We give them the keys that they actually will be able to unlock the shackles and leave the prison house of this world. That they can also become servants that will actually be able to go in and out of the matrix. So we want to kind of see how this looks. So we're going to go to Genesis. We'll start to look at a few examples now. We're going to go to Genesis 39. And we'll take it there. Let's go to 20. Let me highlight the Genesis 39, 20 through 23. It say, and Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison. Right? So just think about that. Joseph wasn't in bondage in the mind. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. So they were bound to the things of this world. And he was there in the prison. But, however, the Spirit of God was with Joseph. This is how we're going to have to move. And showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, under his power, because the Spirit of God was with him. And that which he did, the Spirit of God made it to prosper. So that says a lot. So we can see Joseph basically in the prison of Egypt, still holding to the truth, being surrounded by many prisoners. I mean, that should ring a bell, who are bound. What they are, they bound to the cares of this world. But you can see JEHOVAH will be with the faithful. He's going to be with the faithful, right? And those, them same prisoners, right? And we'll just say the leaders of the prison. What he does is he works through them to basically give his people, we'll just say, like job promotions, job opportunities, things that's mostly given to those who walk in agreement with this world. But we can see how JEHOVAH actually operates. So I'm going to pull some in 1 Corinthians. All right, 1 Corinthians. We're going to pull chapter 7. Let's hit 29 and we'll go down to 31. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, 29 through 31, it say, but this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. We can see how it's basically is laid out. We can see that what we do and what we must do while in this matrix. Like I say, letting others know that this illusion will end. It has to end. So they have to wake up from the sleep. We do know that there ain't nothing gonna come to a sleeper but a dream. But we're gonna pull some in Romans. Let's hit Romans. Where we at? I'm gonna pull 8 And then let's hit 16. It say, the Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. I'm going to pull another one to go with it. We'll go to Jeremiah. What was that? Jeremiah. Jeremiah 33. And let's hit 6. Jeremiah 33 and 6. It say, remember, I will bring it health and cure, and I will cure them, and reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. Highlight that. All right. So we see that those who actually belong to him, they're going to actually accept this reality, this spiritual reality. And that's what actually goes on. We know a lot of people are asleep. But when you see Romans 8:16 and Jeremiah 33 and 6, it's just showing that where it say the Spirit will bear witness. So you're going to get some that once they hear it, they're going to know that, this the way I need to be rolling. Because, yeah, it's basically the keys to unlock the shackles, right? So let's go to Colossians right quick. We'll pull Colossians. Let's go to 3. We'll start at 1 and just take it down to 3. It say, if ye then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. Set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth, right? For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. So it's actually just, this is for, the ones that's willing to listen and wake up. We have to, the ones that actually do take heed to it, we must, keep them encouraged, to let them know to continue to hold to JEHOVAH, continue to stay diligent. We have to remind them to remain blind. It sounds crazy, but you have to remain blind to the prisons of this world and just keep living in the life of Christ. I do want to show an example with that, where I say remain blind to the prisons of this world. I want to go to John, just to show exactly how you do that. John 9. Where we at? 31. We'll read down a little bit. It say in John chapter 9, 31. We'll start at John chapter 9, 31. We'll read down. It said, now we know that God heareth not sinners, those that stuck in the matrix. But if any man be a worshiper of God and doeth his will, him he hear. Right? Since the world began, was it not heard that any man opening the understandings of one that was born blind? If the man were not of God, he could do nothing. Verse 34, it say, they answered, and we'll take it down to 39. They answered and said unto him, thou was altogether born in sins, and dost thou teach us? And they cast him out, right? Yahushua heard that they had cast him out, and when he had found him, he said unto him, dost thou believe on the Son of God? He answered and said, who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him? And Yahushua said unto him, thou hast both seen him, and it is he that talketh with thee. And he said, Lord, I believe. And he worshipped him. And Yahushua said, for judgment am I come into this world, that they which see not, might see, and they which see might be made blind. So you're supposed to be blind, and we're gonna take it down to 41. It say, and some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words and said unto him, are we blind also? Yahushua said unto them, if ye were blind, which we should be, ye would have no sin. But now ye say, we see, therefore your sin remaineth. Right? So if we become blind to this world, now we can start to see. We don't have to worry about what this world has to offer, material stuff. Nah, we need to stay blind to that, knowing that you're actually you walking through this matrix. You able to pinpoint things, the people that infatuated with cars, money, women, all of these different things, because the constructs of how it's set up, and we have to, know how to maneuver through it, right? So I want to pull something in Leviticus. Let's go to Leviticus. And we'll hit 21. Leviticus chapter 21, and then we'll hit 17 and take it down to 23. It say, speak unto Aaron, saying, whosoever he be of thy seed in their generations that have any blemish, let him not approach to offer the bread of his God. Right? So we can't have no blemish if we trying to do this work in the matrix. For whatsoever man he be that have a blemish, he shall not approach. A blind man, or a lame, or he that have a flat nose, or anything superfluous, or a man that is broken-footed, or broken-handed, or crook-back, or a dwarf, or that have a blemish in his understanding, or be scurvy, or scabbed, or have his stones broken. No man, as male or female, that have a blemish of the seed of Aaron, the priest shall come nigh to offer the offering of the Spirit of God made by fire. He hath a blemish. He shall not come nigh to offer the bread of his God. He shall learn the bread of his God, both of the most holy and of the holy. Only he shall not go in unto the veil, nor come nigh unto the altar, because he have a blemish, that he profane not my sanctuaries, for I, the Spirit of God, do sanctify them. So, our job, in this walk, right, is to learn everything that's required of us. We must not try to, we'll say teach above our abilities, and we definitely can't get a bread of JEHOVAH if we don't actually hold to what we teach and learn. We basically have to walk through this matrix without conditions. We see a problem within us. We need to try to address it. We need to fix it, right? And that'll take me to Romans. We'll hit Romans. Let's go to 12. And let's hit verse 2. Romans 12 and 2. It say, and be not conformed to this world. We can't. But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's where everything starts at, y'all. That you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So, like I said, our entire walk has to be this complete transformation. And like I said, that's renewing your mind to not focus on the physical, but the inner and the eternal things. So I want to show you something like, based on that, focusing on not focusing on the physical, but the eternal and the inner man. So I want to pull some in Genesis. Genesis, and then we'll pull 19. We'll take 4 just to show you how the matrix actually is looking. It say, but before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed a house round both old and young, all the people from every quarters, right? And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out. I'm going to go down to 11. You have to look at it because they actually in the matrix, but they saw something there. Come out unto us that we might know them. And Lot went out at the door. So he went back to the corner world to deal with these people and shut the door after him and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Remember now, I have 2 daughters which have not known men. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do you to them as good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing. For therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, right? And he would now needs to be taught. Now he would need to be judged or taught. Now we would deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot. So now they basically trying to, put the pressure on Lot, and came near to break the door. So now they wanted to try to break down the door, but the door is basically that other side. It's that spiritual reality. But we're finna see some. But the men put forth their power, these messengers, and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut to the door. So now they couldn't get into that other side. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, because now they can't even see the truth, but both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. So they wouldn't be able to find that door, because we already know that Christ is the door. So there's no way that they'll actually be able to find the truth. So when you actually look at that, right, with that matrix, why being in this matrix, right? You know what I mean? If we truly holding to JEHOVAH, he actually is our help from these different elements. It don't matter if we're in the matrix or just spiritual. He's our strength. He's our protection. That the world will, it don't matter, like I said, if it's physical, spiritual, JEHOVAH is our protection. So I want to show you how he actually operates. Just looking at this story, I just figured it'd be good to put it in here. So I want to go to 2 Kings just to show you how JEHOVAH actually operates. With the ones that truly hold to him. So we're gonna go to 2 Kings. Where we at? 2 Kings. And we're going to pull chapter 6. And I'm going to have to read down on this, but I'll explain it later. But you're going to kind of get to catch a whole lot what's going on. But it's a beautiful, beautiful story. So, and I'll just make some little comments here and there. Say, then the king of Syria warred against Israel, right? And took, I'm going to just keep reading so I don't hold it too long. and trying to explain the whole thing. Took counsel with his servants, saying, in such and such a place shall be my camp. Right? And the man of God sent unto the king of Israel, saying, beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come down. So you can just look at the Syrians as people of this world, right? And we're going to keep going. And the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of God told him and warned him of, and said, and saved himself there not once nor twice. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing, and he called his servants and said unto them, will ye not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, none, my lord, O king, but Elijah, the prophet that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the words that thou shalt speak in thy bedchamber. And he said, go and spy where he is. So now they want to come and, flex we'll just say they military might, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, remember, he is in Dothan. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host. So now they got this large army, right? And they came by night and compassed the city about. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, a host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And let me keep reading. And his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, because the servant is speaking to Elias. He's seeing all these horses and chariots. He said, alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered. He basically telling him, fear not, right? Because he know who rolling with him. He said, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elijah prayed and said, Spirit of God, I pray thee, open his understanding that he may see. And the Spirit of God opened the understanding of the young man. And he saw, and remember, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elijah. And when they came down to him, Elijah prayed unto the Spirit of God and said, smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness. And he smote them with blindness, according to the word of Elijah. And Elijah said unto them, this is not the way, neither is this the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom you seek. But he led them to Samaria. And it came to pass, when they were coming to Samaria, that Elijah said, Spirit of God, open the eyes of these men, that they may see. And the Spirit of God opened their eyes, their understanding, and they saw. And remember, they were in the midst of Samaria. Let me take it to 23. And the king of Israel, so now he got confidence because he see how God worked. He say, and the king of Israel said unto Elijah, when he saw them, my father, shall I smite them? Shall I smite them? And he answered, thou shalt not smite them. Wouldst thou smite those whom thou hast taken captive with thy sword and with thy bow? Set bread, so set doctrine, and water and knowledge before them, that they may learn and drink and go to their master. So we actually seeing, when we look at, you can have many with physical weapons that was the people in this matrix possess. A lot of times it might seem overpowering, but if our understanding is truly, we'll just say fully open on JEHOVAH, then we know that those little weapons can never contend with, the spiritual army that, we have on our side. So I want to show you something right quick, just to give you this quick example of that. We're going to hit 2 Kings right quick, 19, just to show you exactly the God of Israel. 2 Kings 19. We're going to pull 32, and we'll just take it to 37 right quick. It say, therefore, thus said the Spirit of God concerning the king of Assyria, right? He shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with the shield, nor cast a bank against it. By the way that he came, by the same shall he return. And he shall not come into this city, said the Spirit of God. For I will defend this city, this JEHOVAH now, to save it for my own sake and for my servant David's sake, my beloved. And it came to pass, right? This is how JEHOVAH rolling. And it came to pass that night that the messenger of the Spirit of God went out and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. That's 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, remember, they were all dead corpses. So Sennacherib, we'll take it right now. So Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh. And it came to pass, right, as he was worshiping in the house of Nisroch, his god, that Adrammelech and Sharezer, his son, smote him with the sword. And they escaped into the land of Armenia, and Irshadon, his son, reigned in his stead. So we can actually see, once that messenger smote that army of the Assyrians, then they was plagued at that point, and they all would just die one by one. And that's basically, the God of Israel, showing, even when we move through this this matrix, that we have something on our side that we know we can rely on, and this is something that should basically bring comfort to those that may feel uncomfortable. So and then going back to coming to that the realization of what truth actually is. It can be difficult, like I said earlier. You can be, it can make a lot of folks nervous, because guess what? It basically requires the death of our own ego. That's just the fact, which is pride. We have to kill off this familiar story that we've been telling ourselves for many years. But also it brings a birth into reality, into this spiritual presence, into what your true nature should be, and that's walking with JEHOVAH. But we're going to kind of get off into some instructions on how we can actually, move through here. So, we see throughout history, when we look at the Bible, you can see this certain pattern that actually repeats itself. You think of prophets like Yahushua, how he was demonized, or you could say persecuted for the knowledge and the teaching of this spiritual reality that I'm speaking on. Yahushua, he actually, what he was doing, he was challenging the established religious and these different political structures, during his time. He was threatening those status quos that they were living by, trying to show them these deeper truths, trying to get folks to awake out of deep sleep. This is what he was doing, and then we know that he had JEHOVAH in him. So, and JEHOVAH always understood, and even now he understands that how we have to be able to move through this matrix, and it, it takes you to the things that we might the things that we'll need as we move through this matrix to sustain the physical body, so that we can complete our spiritual assignments in this journey. And he left, examples on how we can operate. And we're going to go through that, But when we, as we going through these examples on how we can operate through this matrix, I just want you to basically keep your mind focused on two worlds. Like I said earlier, you got one of illusion and the other one is a spiritual reality. So if you could just keep your mind, keep that in the front of your mind, then we're going to go through this to kind of show you the instructions on how we need to get through this. So the first one we'll pull is this, in John. We'll pull John chapter 10. And we'll hit 7 through 9. It say, Then said Yahushua unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep, right? So we know JEHOVAH was in him. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them, right? I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, right? And shall go in and out. That's meaning going in and out this matrix and find pasture. So this is something that we have to understand. JEHOVAH is that door to that spiritual reality. And once we enter in, then we should be able to go in and out of this matrix and find pasture. And this is how we, know that this is how Yahushua actually operated. So now we're going to look at the instructions and examples that, he gave us. And they're going to help us out a whole lot. So we're going to go to Matthew. This is Matthew. No, that's John. We're going to pull Matthew 22. Let's hit 17. We'll go down to 22. Because a lot of this is still what goes on today. But this is a whole bunch of stuff in here that'll help us. They say, tell us therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful, right, to give tribute unto Caesar or not? So is it lawful to, we'll just say, give respect, praise, exalt to Caesar or not? But Yahushua perceived their wickedness and said, why tempt me, ye hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. I'm going to take it to 22. And he said unto them, who is this image and superscription? So he want to know who is that resemblance on now? Who is this one? What is this reflection and this likeness on now? And who is this title? In the way of, they say unto him, Caesar. Then said he unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. When they had heard these words, they marveled and left him and went their way. So many of us, right, we have a lot of tough decisions, through this construct. It might be based on education, job requirements, that we have to, that we trying to achieve or that we need to achieve to either, we'll just say, graduate or get promotions. We always have to understand it's the intent on why you do things, because that's what this passage is for. It's certain things that, okay, I'm doing this to get this. I'm not doing this to worship no man. That's why we have to give to Caesar the stuff that belongs to Caesar, and give to God the things that belong to God. I want to pull another one to go with it, though. We're going to go to Matthew 17. It's kind of still touching on that one. 24, and we'll pull 27. It say, and when they were come to Capernaum, they that received the tribute money came to Peter and said, did not your master pay tribute? He said, yes, right? And when he was coming to the house, Yahushua prevented him, saying, what thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth, right, take custom, or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Peter said unto him, of strangers. And then Yahushua said unto him, then are the children free? And that's saying a whole lot right there, but we're gonna touch on it and say, notwithstanding, because you're seeing how he operating. He say, notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go down to the sea, to the people, and cast a hook and take up a fish, right? This creature of the sea that cometh that first cometh up And when thou hast opened his mouth, when they open his doctrine, thou shalt find a piece of money, a piece of knowledge, that take and give it unto them for me and thee. So you can see this is still going back to the Caesar thing, the thing that belonged to Caesar. You giving that to Caesar, and the stuff that God belonged to God, you give it to God. And that's why he actually saying, back when he said that, and Peter said unto him, well, he said, what thinkest thou, Simon, of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute, of their own children or of strangers? Then Peter said unto him, of strangers, because they're not going to try to, we'll just say, tax their own children. And Yahushua, he basically just answered it smooth. He say, Jesus said unto him, then are the children free? Yes, they are. And that basically even the same thing with JEHOVAH. You know what I'm saying? His children are free. And I want to pull something to go with that. We're going to go to Galatians right quick. We'll go to Galatians chapter 4. And let's hit 30 and 31. It say, nevertheless, what said the scripture? Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman should not be heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free, because the children are free, those that actually walk with JEHOVAH. And that's actually what's going on in this. That's why Yahushua answered it that way. We're going to go to Luke. We're getting close to getting, I don't have a whole lot more, but we're going to go to Luke. Let's pull Luke 20. Where we at? Alright, because it's still just showing you how you're supposed to operate, right? It's and we'll read down Luke 20:27. We're going to go down 36 and say, then came to him certain of the Sadducees, right, which deny that there is a resurrection. And they asked him, saying, Master, Moses wrote unto us, if a man brothers die, having a wife, and he die without children, that his brother should take his wife and raise up seed unto his brother. There were therefore 7 brethren, and the first took a wife and died without children, and the second, take it down to 36, because you can see the Pharisees, they basically in this matrix. The second took to her wife, and he died childless, and the third took her, and in a like manner the 7 also, and they left no children, no works, and died. Last of all, the woman died also. Therefore, in the resurrection, who wife of them is she? Right? Because they looking at everything corner. For 7 had her to wife, and Yahushua answered, said unto them, right, the children of this world that we living in, marry and are given in marriage, but they, the ones that wake up, which shall be accounted worthy to obtain that world, that spiritual reality, and the resurrection from the dead, neither marry nor are given in marriage, neither can they die any more, for they are equal unto the messengers, and are the children of God, being the children or the works of the resurrection. So we seeing this just actually showing, you know what I mean, it'll be a lot of us that's actually giving them keys to unlock the matrix. But a lot of, when you look at these Pharisees, they still more comfortable holding to the ways of this world, not willing to try to get a deeper understanding or the inner workings of that spiritual reality. Nah, they don't want that. So I'm gonna pull something right quick in John. We'll pull John 14. And let's hit 16 and 17. It say, and I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Right? Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him. But ye know him, for he dwelleth with you, and shall be in you. So this Spirit of truth is what we need. It's actually going to help us to be able to navigate through the matrix. It's like having our own spiritual GPS system. you know it's going to help us to actually be able to go in and out to preach the kingdom of God. And like I said, the world can't receive this. The world cannot receive this. So let's go to Matthew. And let's pull 16. And this is how we have to operate. It say, remember, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye for that reason wise as serpents and harmless as doves. This is it's saying a lot, because we more so just trying to get through here. We ain't out here knocking on doors, standing on street corners. We just trying to just get through here. We ain't shouting at people. We ain't in church building. We actually are hiding in plain sight while still trying to alert, people to JEHOVAH. And this is how we have to operate. And I'm going to go back to something that I said earlier in Revelation. I think it was 7 and 4. Revelation 7 and then 4. Okay, yeah. It say, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So we had to remember that and what it represents in the end. And I want to show you something what it actually would tell us. Let's go to second address. Second address. Well, let me just click. Second address, y'all. Chapter 3. And let's pull. Yeah, that's cool. Hold on. My bad, it's 2. Knew that one, right? Second address 2. Let me make sure. Second. Okay, yeah, second address 2. And let's hit 36 to 39. And we see that number, that seal. Let's say, flee the shadow of this world. These instructions, y'all. Receive the joyfulness of your glory. I testify my Savior openly. Oh, receive the gift that is given you, and be glad, giving thanks unto him that have led you to the heavenly kingdom. Arise and stand. Remember the number of those that be sealed in the feast, right? We know that feast is that convocation or that gathering of the Creator, which are departed from the shadow of the world and have received glorious garments of the Creator. We have to flee this matrix lifestyle, that the kingdom of God can actually dwell in us. And we'll able be, we'll all be able to receive those glorious garments in the end. I'm gonna pull this one here, this last one, in second address. I was looking over it today, so I just figured it'd be good to run it. Where I'm at, second address. And we'll pull 9. We'll start at 7 and take it down to 13. It say, and every one that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed, that's right, shall be preserved from the said perils and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders. For I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, right? Those that decided to stay contrary, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. For such as in their life have received benefits of this world, and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law while they had yet liberty, right? And when and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. Verse 12, the same must know it after death by pain. We're going to take it to 13. And for that reason, be thou not curious, right, how the ungodly shall be punished, and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is, and for whom the world is created. So, we got a choice to make, and you know what I mean. And the choice that we do make, it's going to be a ripple effect with it. Is either eternal life or eternal damnation. You know what I mean? I will always say choose life, right? But I want to say this, as I do close this out, I want you to truly remember this, that, through this journey in this stage, right where we at now, the acceptance, something beautiful happens when we accept what we actually know is real, and that's JEHOVAH. And with that, you start to find, your people. You're going to meet people that's walking in this truth with you. And like I said, these will be rare individuals. They're going to be able to speak that same language you do. They're going to be able to understand you without, needing you to explain certain things. Like these who you meet going to be few in between, but they basically hold a strong importance to JEHOVAH. It's almost like, this one genuine person, this servant, right? Meeting him is that one connection basically outweighs a thousand, we'll say, shallow relationships of this world. And it's at that point then that you get to find, a lot of times we always want to know where I'm from. This is actually when you find your tribe. This is your tribe, those that actually walk according to the ways of JEHOVAH. This is your tribe. They've actually been waiting on you, right? These are the ones who help guard the gates, protecting JEHOVAH's word at all costs. And so we have to understand this and just continue moving. So let us all continue in the pursuit to the kingdom, while helping others, to get them to see that spiritual reality. So hopefully this lesson helped, some, and, we'll just continue to push forward. And with that, I just say shalom, y'all.